Okay, so this Shovelhead is on the lift finally. First time we got this thing out into the motorcycle shop. And when I ran it, I got quite a bit of oil out of the breather. So I put a little catch under there. You can see I'm catching oil. So it's obviously sumped a bit while it was sitting because it had a full tank of oil in it, but I think a lot of it ended up in the lower end. So as soon as I started this thing up, it started pouring oil out of it. So probably have to deal with the check valve there. I'm glad I've got the breather where it is and not like over anything that I don't want oil on. But I originally had it shifted back a little bit, and I figured that was kind of close to the rear tire, and if it ever got any oil coming out of it while I was riding, I'd end up with it on my rear tire, so I shifted it around a little bit. But it's still got great oil pressure. I just checked that, fired it up, and it read pretty high, 30 psi or more on there. And then I've also got, oh crap, I actually had a couple of keys made. And, oh, it's one of these damn keys. I can't, oh, it's that one. Hard with one hand. Okay, so, oil light, no problem. And if I haven't got the connector yet for the wire to go to the neutral switch, but you can see that she's in neutral right now. If I disconnect the wire, it goes away. So that works too. I haven't figured out how to do the generator light yet. There's a few circuits. There's a bunch of different circuits you can build to check voltage and light up a light if the voltage goes below threshold. But I was trying to do it with parts I had on hand. Most of the circuits require a couple of transistors. I do have some, but I don't really want to go through my supply and figure out which ones will work. You can also do it with a couple of Zener diodes, which I also have, but not exactly the right values. So I'm going to try and play around with the Zeners that I have, the Zener diodes that I have, and just play with the resistance values and see if I can get it to work. They're pretty close to what the circuit would call for, but not exactly. So maybe if I just play around with the resistance values a little bit, I'll be able to get it to work. But in the meantime, at least I've got the oil light, and it does work. When I start it up, that light goes right out, and you can see I've got the sending unit there with a wire connected to it, but I also have a gauge, so now I've got light and gauge. The other thing I got in today were these mini floorboards. Now, obviously got it on there, but I don't think it's going to stay. It just doesn't protrude out far enough. These are really intended as passenger pegs, I believe. So it really isn't. Well, I've got the original. So you can see how much longer the original was. It sticks out about another inch beyond what this guy does. So I don't know. I'm going to have to try riding it with these and see if it's more comfortable. Obviously, these are kind of trashed anyway. So I would need to get new rubber for this or replace it one way or the other. But what I might end up doing is try these on the Sportster and then move the Sportster's heel rest over to here. Maybe its pegs and heel rest over to here, and maybe that'd work for me. So I haven't really figured that part out yet. But first things to do on this thing going to be to get the bike lifted up off the lift a little bit in the front so I can get this front wheel off. I'm going to take a look at these brakes. I have brake pads coming. They weren't in today when I went and checked, but when I got these things, but they are coming in supposedly today. So I'm going to be going in probably Wednesday to town again on the Sportster. I took that out last week and got it out for a ride. First time in the season, ran great. So hopefully that means I've got that problem solved with the intake leak. And hopefully the brake pads will be in a small enough package so I can throw it into my backpack and ride home. Otherwise, I'll have to take it out and or come back into town with the truck. But I'm going to go into town Wednesday, ride into town with the bike, and hopefully I can pick up those brake pads. And I'm also, I believe is already there waiting for me, the connector for the wire to go on to the neutral switch, which is just this weird round post. I don't know why they didn't just put a stud on there. You could put a ring terminal on, but they did what they did. So I ordered the proper connector for that, and that should be in right now waiting for me at my mailbox. So that'll be another thing that I'll get hooked up. So, you know, we're still a fair bit away from getting this out onto the road. Got to do those front brakes. Got to figure out the oil sumping thing, which is probably just the check valve, and I'll fix that. And then the other thing is going to just be to kind of go through, like, the brakes in the back. They work, but they don't work great, so I'm going to have to deal with that. It doesn't run perfectly either, so I'm going to have to tune this a little bit maybe. It has had a carb rebuild, so the carburetor should be in pretty good shape. So it's possible that we've got a leaky intake manifold. So I may end up doing the intake seals on this. I have ordered the seals, so I've got these guys, and I didn't realize that these came individually like this, and you need two. So good thing I ordered 4 of them. Just to have them in stock. So fortunately I got enough. So that's that. And that's really the state we're in with the Shovelhead right at the moment. We're not too far behind it. We still have a little bit of things to check over and to fix up to get her out on the road. It's gonna need tires, of course, and I'm gonna have to take this cover off. I've got both the fork seal kit in, and I've got the gasket for this cover on the primary, because I want to pull this primary cover off, because when I looked in, I took the inspection cover off, and when I looked in there was some gunk in the bottom of the primary, and I don't want that to end up in my oil. And this is it's not a sealed primary. This has this circulates oil through it, so that would end up in my oil eventually. So I want to get that apart, clean all that stuff up, and I suspect that where it came from is when I took this off, I noticed that, so this used to have mid controls, which is kind of my preference, and we might end up seeing the mid controls back on this thing at some point. For now, I'm going to try to go with the forward controls and see if I can get used to that. But that being said, when he changed it over to forward controls, what he did was basically, I think, just silicone up the hole on the back side, and I think maybe some of that silicone got in to the oil a little bit. So what I'd like to do is get that silicone completely out of there and seal that hole with like a bolt and an O-ring or a rubber seal or something, so that I don't have to worry about anything getting into my oil like that. So I'll do that as well when I get this cover off. This does have some damage on it, but it's not too severe. Looks like it may have just been dropped. Might not need to be replaced, but it's got a little bit of damage here. I may replace this cover at some point, but I don't really mind the live to ride to live things. That's totally fine. If it had skulls or something on it, I might want to get rid of it. But that's really the only damage really on the bike, is just this little bit right here that I found. I mean, it's got the obvious, patina on it, and I'm totally fine with that. I don't think I'm really gonna make this bike into a showpiece or anything, but I don't see too much other damage on here. So this bike is actually pretty close to what I would have done with it anyway. All the stuff he did. The only things I probably wouldn't have done would have been the little skulls on the push rods. Now I'm probably going to leave those because they're fine. There's just a small touch, and I do kind of appreciate some of the brass touches he's got on here, and I'm probably going to continue to do that. Maybe a little bit more on here. I can maybe change out some stuff to give it a little bit of character, but for the most part, I'm going to leave this thing alone. I've decided to go ahead and keep these pipes, and I was originally going to change them, but I think that I'm going to go ahead and keep them, and I'm going to kind of try to keep the bike kind of in the state that it was in when I got it, and kind of preserve its history a little bit. The things I've obviously already done to change it a little bit was to add the brass oil pressure gauge, and to give it back its pogo seat post, which does actually work, as you can see. And that is hopefully gonna give this thing enough suspension so that when I get it out, I can actually drive this down the dirt road out to the pavement instead of having to load this up on the trailer like I have to do with the Sportster. The Sportster is just way too stiff a suspension to run down that dirt road, and you know, it's 5.5 miles and it's pretty rough. So I can, you know, I've done it a couple of times in the Sportster, but it wasn't fun. So that's why I go ahead and I trailer that out the 5.5 miles out to the pavement. But this one, hopefully, with the swing arm suspension in the back combined with the pogo seat post, hopefully that's going to be enough, and we'll see. But if it's not, this thing can go on the same trailer as the Sportster to go out to the street. Don't really mind doing that. I kind of make a day out of going out on the bike anyway, so I'm never actually going anywhere. I'm just going out and riding around, so I just kind of make a day of going out on the bike. So that's totally fine too, if this does need to be trailered out. But I'm really hoping that between the seat and the swing arm suspension that it's going to get out there. Now, I probably will touch up a little bit of this stuff. Now, I haven't decided, like, on the paint. So it's not a bad looking bike in black. It's actually pretty nice in black, but this paint job isn't great. I think the previous owner probably painted it himself, so it's not a professional paint job. It's not bad, but it's not as nice as I'd like. The only thing I was thinking, maybe I might do green, and this thing would probably be pretty easy to paint. It's really only the gas tanks and the two fenders, so I could pull that stuff off and take it to a body shop and have it painted probably pretty inexpensively, because it really isn't that much, and most of your paint work is really about prep, so I can get everything all prepped before it goes to the paint shop, and I can probably get away without spending a lot of money, and I'd just leave like the oil tank alone, and just do like the gas tanks and the fenders themselves, and that would be it. But I might just leave it black, and I might even just leave this paint job. I haven't really decided. I don't know. You can comment if you like, if you have an opinion. But I like it in black, but I think I also would like it in like a dark green too. So I haven't decided. But that's kind of where we're at. So I've got this at least out here. Gonna get the front end up so I can get this front wheel off. The other thing I'd like to figure out, because I don't have a speedometer yet, you can see that everything is all zeros up here. So this speedo has actually never worked in this bike, because I'm pretty sure that the gear inside the transmission, if you can see, there's where the cable goes in, and there's a little drive unit in there, but I'm pretty sure that there's no gear for that drive unit to engage with. So when you spin the transmission, it's not spinning the speedometer cable. So what I'd like to try to do is see if I can find a drive unit for my front wheel. And as you can see, it does look like it has the little notch on it to engage with something that you could put here. So I'm hoping that I can find a right side drive unit that will work with this, and then I can run that speedometer off of the front wheel. So that's the plan there. But we're not really that far away from getting this thing running. The only other thing that I'm worried about is a bunch of noise coming from down here. So maybe we're looking at camshaft bushing or pinion bushing. I'm not really sure what's causing the noise down here. But when I get it running, there's not a lot of tapping noises. It's mostly just sounds like maybe a bearing. Maybe I even have the inner bearing on the camshaft to do on it. I don't know. This stuff isn't too big a deal, so I don't mind tearing in and having to do a little bit of that as well. But I'm gonna, next time I get it running, I'll try to record that noise. And then maybe somebody in the comments can tell me, hey, yeah, that sounds like the bushing for your camshaft, or maybe, hey, that's completely normal for an old Shovelhead. I don't know. This is my first old Shovelhead, so we'll kind of learn together. But I did get a battery for it as well, and it is not the right battery for the bike. The right battery costs like 3 times what I paid for this one. I've been using my dirt bike battery on this, and this doesn't have electric start, so that has been totally fine. So I just ordered that same battery that I would have ordered for the dirt bike, and I put that in, and it seems to be fine. So I'm not worried about that. Starts right up, runs the lights without a problem. So no big deal. I'm going to keep using that $30 battery instead of the $108 battery that they listed as being the right battery for this. Now, the only thing I had to do was reverse the, this is the wrong player. The terminals are on the back where they're supposed to be, but they're flipped. So there's plenty of slack in those cables, and it didn't seem like it was going to be a problem to flip that. So that's all I did, is I flipped the polarity on there, and it seems to be fine. So we're just about ready to start tearing in to the 1974 FX 1200 Shovelhead, and get her right out into the wind this year. The goal is to do it within the next couple of months. So I'm really pleased to have had pretty good luck with the Sportster the other day, and I was able to get that out. So now I've at least got a bike I can ride around, but I'm really looking forward to getting the Shovelhead out.